early, right?
Yes, it's 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Wow, that is very early. But yeah, you're welcome to. I mean, I guess you can take classes whenever. That's really nice that you wake up so early. Usually 5 o'clock I'm sleeping.
Okay, okay.
Nice,
They, they
nice.
have they there are two types of person
Uh-huh.
who wake up early and go to sleep early, and second type who wake up late and go to sleep late.
Yeah, I'm the second
I'm
type.
I'm first.
You're the first type, yeah. It's good actually. I used to be the first type, but then I think things changed. Now I just sleep much later. Um, hey Heidi, how's it going? Heidi,
Hello.
hey, how's it going?
Hello. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you as well. Things are great. How are things in Osaka?
Osaka. The weather is so, not so good.
Yeah, I heard about that hurricane or that
Mm.
that typhoon that made landfall in the
Yeah.
Philippines.
In
Uh,
Philippines, it is
yeah,
very,
they
very strong.
they said it's the strongest, possibly the strongest
Yeah,
typhoon to ever
strong
strike land.
in the world in
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. It's
Mm.
super, super, super powerful storm, but not that many. I don't think there's been any deaths, thankfully. I think
Mm.
so. People were prepared, which is really good.
Yeah, this morning I exchanged a mail with the Filipinos. They said
Hmm.
it's very terrible.
Hmm.
They are living in Manila, a little far from the typhoon, but still affected.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely.
Mm.
Uh, Hopefully they're all okay and the country makes a quick recovery.
So far,
Uh,
4 people died, and there's landslide or flood.
yeah. So people did die. Okay, I did not know about that. I thought it was just injuries, but okay.
Yes, yes,
That's
yes.
sad, unfortunately. But four is I mean, a death is a death, but four is very low. I think people were prepared, which is good because many times in India, other countries,
Mm.
a lot more people die. Hundreds of people die
Yeah,
sometimes.
but last year, another place in Philippines had a typhoon. They had a big damage. At first, they said 3 or 4 people died, but finally, 200 people died.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, because
Wow.
it's hard to I think it's hard to account for some of those. Like
Yes, yes.
initially they don't know, maybe they're looking or people are lost, their bodies are missing, things like
Yes.
that. So, well, anyway, hey Salvador, how's it going?
Hi, hello, how are you?
Good, good. Welcome to class.
Thank you.
How was your day today? How's your Friday?
Was pretty good. Was my second day on work, on a
Yeah.
shift, and that was great.
Uh-huh. Do you have any breaks tomorrow, or are you're gonna be free on the weekend, right? There's no work on the weekend?
No, I have to work Saturday and Sunday.
Oh wow.
I will free until Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I will have 4 days off.
Nice, that's awesome. So that way you can work tomorrow and Saturday or tomorrow and Sunday, but still have 4 days.
Yes, well, I have to work 4 days in a row, and then I have 4 days off.
Oh, okay, okay. I see how that
So
is.
they are moving, and you, I usually work on Saturdays, on Sundays, but 1 month, the next month, I have my weekends, and I'm free.
Nice, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I like having the weekends free. The only thing about working on Saturday, Sunday is that other people are not working.
Yes,
So so it's hard to find like it's hard to hang out with people,
yeah,
because
definitely.
everybody else is free. So yeah, awesome guys. Well, thanks for joining, guys. I wanted to introduce our topic now so that maybe we can get started on some of the questions earlier. So today we're actually going to be looking at demonstratives and distributives. So when we talk about these concepts in English, we are really using words that are, we use four words essentially. We use this, that, these, and those. Those are the demonstratives. And then for distributives, we talk about some other words. So we're going to go over how to use demonstratives and distributives when it comes to normal conversation. And then in the second part of our class, we are actually going to be reading about a man who is probably the world's most traveled person. He has been to 190 countries. He's from Canada, and he's been to 190 countries, and I don't think he's stopping. I think there are still a few countries in the world that are left that he has not yet visited, so his plan is to be the first person to go to every single country. So it's going to be an exciting story, I think, to see what he's been able to do. So when we use demonstratives and distributives in English, right, there are these two categories. I want to make sure that we work on them a little bit more. Demonstratives, right, we use when we are talking about, they are pronouns that replace nouns, right? So when we use these words, there are four demonstratives in English, right? We say this, that, these, and then those, right? So these four words, we use them to replace nouns, right? Because they act as pronouns. So if I'm talking about something that is understood through the context of the sentence, I could say, for example, these are pretty flowers, right? Or these are pretty flowers. That's the right example. If I were to say something differently, if I said, for example, if I said this is delicious, right? I'm making a statement about something. I would need the context of what I was talking about to understand what it is that I'm describing, right? So let's say I'm at a dinner and I look down at the food and I say this is delicious, right? People that are around me are going to understand that I'm talking about the meal, right? So sometimes we can use these distributives to talk about things that are near us, and other times we use these these demonstratives to talk about things that are far away from us, right? And that really is what separates them. So, for example, this and that are for singular items. This is what is close to you, right? This phone, for example. That phone is what's far away, right? And then these and those are both plural, with these being things that are close to you and those being things that are far away, right? So that's how we kind of separate these four words into different categories. Any questions, guys, on that first part?
No.
Make sense?
Yes.
Salvador, okay? What about Gregory and Heidi? You guys okay?
Yes, it's pretty
All right. It makes sense? Okay. So things, when we are talking about, let's say, I want to talk about something that's far away and plural, right? It could be anything. Those cars are blue, right? Whatever. These computers are broken, right? So we can talk about many different kinds of things that describe different words, different nouns that are nearby, right? Nearby versus far away. Now, there is a small difference between demonstrative pronouns and demonstrative adjectives, okay? So this is what I want to focus on. The four demonstratives that exist in English are just these four, right? But when you have adjectives, you also need a noun, right? Because adjectives describe nouns, right? Pronouns replace nouns. So remember earlier when I said a demonstrative pronoun is, for example, when I say something like this is delicious, right? I'm not saying this food is delicious. I'm just saying this is delicious. That's a pronoun because there's no noun in that sentence. It's taking the place of the noun, right? And for demonstrative pronouns, you need the surrounding context to understand what's being said. So you're at a dinner, this is delicious, okay, you're talking about the food, right? You are at a furniture store, you sit down in a chair and you say, wow, this is really comfortable, right? You need to know the context to understand what is being described, right? With adjectives, you do need the noun. So a demonstrative adjective would be if we say, this book is really interesting, right? Because you have that noun book, and this is describing book. It's an adjective, so it's describing the noun, right? So demonstrative adjectives require the noun, right? Demonstrative pronouns, on the other hand, we don't see the noun, right? No noun. So that's another difference that we need to keep in mind, right? Any questions about that, guys?
No question.
We're okay, Heidi? Okay, sweet. Salvador, I think we're okay, right?
Yes, I'm okay.
I'm
Great.
not so comfortable with demonstrative pronouns.
Uh-huh. What's the question, Gregory? Absolutely.
I don't understand where and how use them.
So with a pronoun, right? Demonstratives are just this, that, these, and those. Those four words, right? Those are the demonstratives.
It's okay, but your examples, I feel strange with your examples. Can you take some more examples?
Yeah, absolutely. So the basic idea is when we use a pronoun, when we use the demonstratives as a pronoun, then we don't need nouns, right? We can just say, for example, this is good, this is delicious, this is bad, right? There's no noun in those sentences, right?
But
We're just saying
simple sentences, short and simple sentences.
short and simple. Yeah, you can think of it as short and simple, but really it's when you use a demonstrative without using a noun, right? So a noun is like, book, car, whatever you want to say, right? When we're just saying this is good, this is bad, there's no noun, right? That is ugly, right? Maybe you're looking at a building. That is ugly, right? If I say that building is ugly, then I introduce that noun, building, and the this becomes, or the that becomes a demonstrative adjective. So the word is the same, it's just what we call it in English. If there is a noun, then it's an adjective. If there's no noun, then it's a pronoun.
Just in Russian, not saying, not use this construction.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problems. That's good. It's a good question, right? Because these adjectives and pronouns, they can get confusing when we are looking at different types, right? So let's use some examples, guys. Let's make some examples. I want you guys to be a little creative when we make the examples, right? So let's try to use, each of us, let's try to give an example of an adjective, a demonstrative adjective sentence, as well as a demonstrative pronoun sentence, right? So let's each think of two types of sentences. I'll start. So I'll say, for example, this cake is delicious, right? This cake is delicious. So Salvador, is that an example of a demonstrative adjective or a demonstrative pronoun?
I think it's demonstrative adjectives.
Yeah, and why do you say that?
Because you are saying that the cake is delicious. You are
Yeah,
saying something about the cake.
exactly. I actually mentioned a noun, right? This cake
Right.
is delicious, right? So let's say the second example is something like, that looks delicious, right? That looks delicious. So Salvador, one more question for you. I'm going to ask you again. If I say that looks delicious, right? What kind of demonstrative is that? Is it near me or is it far away from me?
That is near.
Are you sure about that?
And you're saying, no, that is as far away from you.
Yeah, that is actually far away from me, right? And is that singular or is that plural?
That is singular.
Fantastic, right? So that is the singular far away, right? And in that sentence, if I say that looks delicious, is that a pronoun or an adjective?
That is adjective. Oh no, that is a pronoun.
Yeah, because I'm not mentioning any nouns, right?
Yes.
I'm just saying that looks delicious. Looks is a verb, right? So there's no noun in that sentence, right? So
Right.
let's try practicing this then, right? Gregory, I'll start with Gregory. Would you mind giving me an example of a sentence, Gregory, in which we see a demonstrative adjective?
Our class is very useful.
Our class is very useful.
Sorry. Uh, this class is very useful.
Fantastic, right? This class is very useful. So this is your demonstrative. And why is it an adjective in this case, Gregory?
Because there is classes.
Yeah, because we have the word class, right? Because we have
Word.
class, and class is a noun, right? So, fantastic. What about if we want to use, give me a sentence with the demonstrative pronoun.
This useful.
This is useful, right?
This is useful.
Yeah. So we still need a verb, right? This is useful, right? Fantastic, fantastic. So that's the difference, really, right? Noun versus no noun. Adjective versus pronoun. Fantastic. Heidi, what about you? Give me an example, please, of a sentence using a demonstrative adjective.
All these people on this photo are my relatives.
All these people in these photos.
In this photo.
Oh, in this photo,
are my relatives.
Are my relatives. Fantastic, right? So you actually had two demonstrative adjectives there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you are saying these people, are they near you or far away from you?
Mm-hmm.
If you say these, is that near to you or far away from you?
Because in this photo, so this.
Yeah. Also, if you're saying all of these people, right? These would be the same. So it would just be plural and close to you, and this would be singular and close to you, right?
Yeah.
And what about a sentence with a demonstrative pronoun, Heidi?
This is my computer.
This is my computer, right?
Yeah.
So you're not saying this computer is mine or whatever. Yeah, you're saying this is my computer. So in that example, we are not using a noun with the demonstrative. We're just using this, right? Fantastic. Yeah. And Salvador, one more example from you, please. Actually, two more examples from you. First one with the demonstrative adjective.
This book is great.
This book is great, right? Fantastic. This book is great. What about the next one, which would be a demonstrative pronoun?
Demonstrative pronoun. Well, that is great. That is great,
right? Fantastic. That is great. And is that far away or close to you?
That is far away from me.
Yeah, fantastic, right? And it's also singular, right?
Right.
Good. Any questions, guys, on this beginning look at on this first topic of these demonstratives and demonstrative adjectives and pronouns?
No questions.
No questions? Okay. Great, guys. I want to spend a little bit of time on distributives. So distributives are kind of that second group, right? And we use distributives to talk about more than one, right? Really, when we're talking about more than one thing that we are describing, right? Some of them, however, are used to, okay, so I shouldn't say more than one. We use distributives when we are talking about parts of a group. There's a large group that we are looking at, right? And we are talking about maybe individual parts of that group, right? So that's really the big idea. If we, for example, there's a large group of people, and I say each one of you will receive a gift, right? Each one of you. Each is an example of a distributive, right? So we are talking about, it could be 1,000 people. Each one of them will get something, right? So each is one example of a distributive. Another example is every, right? Every one of you will get a gift. I could be talking to 1,000,000 people, right? It doesn't matter. A large group, but I'm mentioning individual people or individual persons, taking things one at a time, right? Then, so we have each and every, right? So these are the first two when we look at distributives. We have each and every. We also have either and neither, right? So either and neither we use when we are specifically talking about two things. We are comparing two things, right? So I like to think of it as when we're talking about a race between two people, let's say. Many times that happens in like elections, right? So either, you know, Obama or Romney will win the race, will win the election, right? It has to be one or the other, either one or the other, right? So another example is either. When we use, when we say neither in English, right? What is the example of neither? Neither is when we are talking about two things, and none of those two things will satisfy what we want to say, right? Either means one of the two will satisfies what we want to say. One of the two people will win. Either of them will win, right? Neither means none of the two, right? So neither of those girls are are older than 16, right? Neither of those girls are older than 16 years old or whatever, right? So we have either and we have neither. Excuse me, guys. We have either and neither as two examples of these words that we can use when we are talking about two persons or two things, right? Any questions, guys, on either and neither? Okay. Can you guys give me a sentence with either or with neither? Let's start with Salvador.
Either okay, I have to use either in the sentence or just
Yeah, you can use either or neither, whichever one you want to use, right?
okay.
Do you need help to start? So one good way to think of these sentences, Salvador, is when we say either or neither, right? A really good way to think about it in English is you could say, for example, either maybe you're talking to two people, right? So you can say either one of you. That's a good way to start. Either one of you, or either someone or someone else, right? Will something, right? So I like to think of it as maybe either Salvador or Heidi will enjoy the class, right? Both of you guys won't enjoy, just one of you guys, right? So either Heidi or Salvador will, and then a verb, right? Or if you're talking to two people, either one of you will receive a prize, either one of you will do something, right? So that's how we begin these kinds of sentences.
Okay, so maybe either one of you will win the prize.
Yeah, either one of you will win the prize, right? Either one of you will win the prize. And you can use, if you want, you can use specific names, right? You could also use other verbs, right? Either one of you could do something. Either one of you can do something, right? So it doesn't always have to be future. Yeah.
Okay.
Good, good. Heidi, another example, please, with either or neither.
Neither of them laughed over his joke.
Yeah, neither of them laughed at his joke, right? Neither of them laughed at his joke, right? So, great example, right? None of them. Out of the two people, both of them were normal. They didn't laugh, right? Neither of those two people, neither of them laughed at his joke, right? So, when we say neither, we also can say neither, neither of blah, 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 right? Neither of, and then a subject, like them, or I should say an object pronoun, right? One sec, guys, I'm having trouble typing. Neither of them, and then a verb, right? Or you could say neither you nor somebody else, right? Neither you nor someone, and then a verb. So neither you, Heidi, nor Gregory will enjoy this class. None of you guys. Both of you guys are going to hate this class, right? Neither you nor somebody else, and then a verb, right? So that's how we make these sentences as well, right? Gregory, one other example, please, using either or neither.
I don't know what type of car Toyota or Mazda going to buy. Either of them look attractive, but neither have acceptable price.
Very good, right? I don't know what kind of car I'm gonna buy. You think you said Honda, and what was the second one?
Mazda.
Mazda. Okay, I personally like Mazda, so you should buy Mazda. But uh, either of them. Well, in that example, actually, I think you were very good, Gregory. But when you're saying you said either of them look attractive, right?
Yes,
Either of uh-huh.
but neither have acceptable price.
So that, but neither have acceptable price is perfect. Perfect, right? Neither of them have acceptable price. None of the two have acceptable price. Sorry. But when we say either of them are attractive, right? You're saying one of them is attractive. Not
Both of
but
them are attractive.
fantastic. So we should say both of them are attractive, right? So I don't know which car to buy, either a Honda or a Mazda. Right? So you can say either there, because either there would mean one or the other, Mazda or Toyota, right? And then you can say both of them are attractive, but neither of them are have acceptable prices, right? It's a very long sentence, but it's a very good sentence, right? You're using a lot of different words. So let me try to quickly type that down. I am not sure which car to buy. Either the Mazda or the Honda. Both of them are attractive, but neither of them have acceptable prices. Wow, I cannot say that word today. I'm not sure which car to buy. Perfect. Either the Mazda or the Honda. Either one or the other, right? Both of them are attractive, but neither of them have acceptable prices. Great sentence. That's a great sentence. Heidi and Salvador, do you guys have any questions about the sentence? It's very involved. I want to make sure we look at it maybe closely if you guys have questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We can use neither or either, and just for two things or for a group of things. For example, Mazda, Toyota, or Nissan. If I have to
So,
pick one.
great question, Salvador. Neither and either are only used for two things.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so if you're saying Toyota, Mazda, Honda, then you should say none of them, not neither of them, right? If it's more than two, then you say none. So you say none for more than three, or if it's for positive, then you can say all of them, right? So when it's more than two, we use all of them, or all of whatever, or none of them, right? So those are the two types. So if there were three examples, the sentence would sound like this: I'm not sure which car to buy. The Mazda, the Honda, or the Toyota. There would be no neither or either at that part, right? Because that one, at the beginning of that sentence, we would just list out the three types. We don't have to put an either or neither, right?
Okay.
I'm not sure which car to buy, the Toyota, the Mazda, or the Honda. All of them are attractive, but none of them have acceptable prices. Right? Does that make sense, Salvador?
Yes.
It does? Okay, fantastic. Great questions, though. Great questions, guys. Last but not least, guys, I want to take a look at when we talk about different types of words with each and every, right? Every is really used when we are talking how often something happens, right? So the difference between each and every, it's an important difference, right? Each is when we are talking about two or more things. So for example, people say, I was carrying a bag in each of my hands, right? In each of my hands. So I have two hands, I was carrying a bag in each of my hands, right? Or it could be more than two, right? There was a computer on each desk, right? It could be 150,000 desks, right? There was a computer on each desk. But every is used for a frequency, right? So we can say, for example, I go to school every day, right? You can say I go to school each day, but every is better, right? Every sounds a lot more nicer. The bus leaves every hour, right? those kinds of things. So just as a kind of a final way to bring those two together, right? Each is when we're talking about two or more things. And every is really used when we are talking about frequency, right? How often something happens. Daily, every day, every month, every year, right? Words like that. Any questions on that, guys?
Okay.
We're okay? Okay, awesome, Salvador. I'm assuming Gregory and Heidi, you guys are both okay as well. In that case, guys, let me, if we have no other questions, I want to ask you guys about, I'll give you guys an example of a question. I'll give you guys an example of a sentence, and I want you to tell me, should we use every or should we use each, right? So what about this sentence? Blank child, okay, blank is going to have the word each or every. Blank child will receive $500 for Christmas, right?
Each.
Every.
Every.
I vote every.
So Gregory's saying every.
Every.
Heidi, you're saying every. Salvador, what do you think? Blank child will receive $500 for Christmas.
Every child. Yeah, every child.
Salvador?
Every.
Heidi, you said each first. Each was right. Why'd you change?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because really this is interesting, right? Remember frequency. Frequency is every, right? So we're not talking about time or how often something happens, right? We're talking about each child receiving something. Remember how I said at the beginning, each one of you will receive $500, right? Talking to a large group or talking about a large group, right? Each is for those two or more things, right? Each person will get something. Each child will receive $500 for Christmas, right? Everyone will receive $500 for Christmas. That also works, right? Everyone works. But each is really, we use each if we're talking on a one-by-one basis, on an individual basis, right? Like each child will get something, right? With every, it's not as nice as if we say each, right? You guys did a good job. I liked how you guys thought about that, right? That you were thinking it would be every, but actually each is a little bit better. So let me give you one other example then, guys. One other example. This one is going to be
each student have improvement if he learn every day.
Fantastic. Each student will see or will have an improvement if they learn every day, right? I think that's fantastic. You're talking about individuals, right? More than one individual, more than two individuals, right? Each student will see an improvement if they study every day. That's great. The only thing I was thinking that I wanted to add very quickly to that was that if we use every, right? Every and each sometimes have the same meaning. So in the case of that child one, we may have been able to get away with every as well. It may be correct if people understand it, right? But really the way we think about it is each is talking about a one-by-one kind of thing, right? And every kind of talks about everybody in the group. So for example, if we say the president gave each soldier a medal, right? It's a one-by-one thing. You give a medal to each and every soldier, right? It's like a presentation when you give someone something, right? But, for example, every soldier stood up when the president walked into the room, right? They all did it as a group. They all stood up, right? Maybe that visually can help you guys a little bit more. Everyone stood up, but each person received a medal, right? Because it's that one-by-one kind of thing, right? Does that help a little bit, guys, talking about each and every?
It's clear.
It's clear? It makes sense now? I think, yeah, Gregory, your sentence was great, right? Each of the students will see improvement if they study every day, right? Fantastic. Okay, guys, so I think we did a good overview of distributives and demonstratives as well, right? Let's jump into this article and see what we can learn about this person, this Canadian guy who went to 190 countries, right? I'm actually pretty excited. I looked at the article briefly, and I was very, very surprised. So, okay. See you later, Gregory. Take care. So with this NPR article, right? Very good newspaper. I highly suggest you guys, if you guys want to improve your English listening, to visit npr.org. Great website for a lot of kind of news programs and things like that. So let's screen share here. 190 plus nations in 23 years for world's most traveled man, right? He did it in 23 years. So this guy, Mike Spencer Brown, in Mogadishu, Somalia, right? So he's in Somalia. There's probably no country he hasn't visited. It's, maybe 4 or 5 countries, that's it. Mike Spencer Brown's latest Facebook post has him in Cork, Ireland, which means he isn't quite finished wandering the world. But after what the Toronto Sun explains has been 23 years, the Canadian-born Bown has now visited more than 190 nations and has a claim to the title of world's most traveled man, as Outside Magazine puts it. He's due to return to his native Calgary any day now. Calgary is in Canada, right? So he's about to come back home. According to Canoe.Canada, the 44-year-old Bown makes the case that while some others have touched down in as many nations as he has, he's made a point of sticking around and immersing himself in each culture. Bowen's travels have gotten attention. In 2010, he showed up in war-torn Somalia. Officials there at first didn't believe his claim to be a tourist, not a spy. He managed to get the okay to stay a few days. The Sun says that Bowen's adventures included taking local transport across Taliban-controlled Afghanistan and hitching through Iraq during the U.S. invasion, including a visit to Saddam Hussein's hometown. The Iraqis were generous people with a fascinating ancient culture, said Bowen, who ran an export business in Indonesia before selling it to fund his adventure. Bowen was on Ireland's The Ray D'Arcy show earlier this month. He said his quest began when he was sitting on a mountainside and wondered if it was possible to visit the whole world and see everything of interest. He was able to afford the travels, he said, because he was frugal, right? What does frugal mean, guys?
I don't know.
Yeah, Heidi, what about you?
Yeah, save money.
Yeah, somebody who saves money, right? So Salvador, somebody who's frugal really saves money, right? Tries to not buy a lot of stuff that he doesn't need, right? So he was able to afford the travels because he was frugal, taking along almost no possessions, using the same backpack all these years, right? And staying in some of the world's cheapest hotels. One in Nicaragua, he said, cost the equivalent of 3 cents a night, right? So that's very, very frugal, right? Extremely frugal living. By the way, Bowen has also said his country count is a bit vague, more than 190, because he doesn't want to get into political arguments about whether some places he's visited are or are not independent nations. We expect much more will be heard from Bowen in coming weeks. The Sun writes that European media outlets like The Guardian are planning features on his staggering 2-decade achievement, accomplished with little more than courage and a backpack. He's also planning a book, right? I think this is awesome because I am one of these crazy people who loves to travel, and this guy has done so much. I mean, they thought he was a spy in Somalia, right? And then when he said, you know, he proved to them that he wasn't, he was allowed to stay for a few days, right? What do you guys think about this guy's life? I mean, how cool was it to visit all these countries?
Yeah.
Right?
Came to Japan because
Yeah.
he wearing the shirt. It's Japan original pattern of Japan.
Oh, really? That's a Japanese shirt?
Yes. Yes.
Nice. So you can definitely tell he's been to Japan, right? What would you guys do? I mean, would you guys ever do something like this? I'm just fascinated. Like, you know, would you ever just... He was sitting on the side of a mountain, right? One day, maybe 23 years ago. He's 43 or something. So when he was 20, right, when he was younger than me, he decided, you know what, I'm just going to travel the world, right? I mean, Heidi, what would you do if you came to that understanding or that level of conviction?
100, over 100 countries, it's very tiresome. I visited only 13 countries.
That's still a good list.
For me, it's enough.
Yeah, he went to over 190, right? I mean,
yeah.
every continent, I'm sure. Maybe Antarctica he didn't go to, but I would say maybe tons of countries in Africa and Asia, right? Because Africa alone has like 150 countries, or I'm sorry,
Yeah.
50 countries, 53 countries. Africa has around 53 countries.
And even I'm afraid of go to the Africa, Somalia or some place.
Yeah,
If
this
they-
guy doesn't care. He still goes, right? Yeah. He was in Afghanistan. He was in like the terrorist areas. You know, it's like walking around taking pictures, like just a tourist, right?
Yeah, very dangerous.
I mean, Salvador, would you ever do this?
Maybe, but if I am traveling from all over the world, I think that I could stay more than 2 months or 3 months in every country just to know all the customs and culture. Because uh, if I go to, I don't know, Poland and just spend one day, uh, I think I didn't uh, know the culture and the custom of the Poland. So I think maybe um, spending 1 or 3 months could be great.
Yeah, different countries that you're not familiar with the culture. That's exactly what this guy did, right? Because there may be other people that have landed in every country in the world, but they didn't explore the cultures, right? They just wanted to just get the name of, okay, I've been to every country in the world. I have stepped foot on every country in the world. But they didn't do this for 23 years. This guy has been doing this since I was like a baby, you know? So he started in like 1990, right? I mean, ridiculously long time ago, you know, in terms of just constantly traveling, his passion, traveling everywhere, right? 190 countries in 23 years. What does that come out to, like 9 or so countries a year, right? So he's been to, you know, 8.26 countries a year, roughly. Maybe 9 countries a year. So that's a few months in each country.
I looked at his face. His face is very good because if he wear the local clothes, maybe Taliban thought he is the local native.
Maybe, right? Maybe he walked around, wherever he went, he wore the local clothes, maybe, right?
Yes, yes. So
And
he could pass Taliban place. But my
maybe,
case, no, impossible.
yeah. You know, Heidi, do you think a woman could do what he did? Is it possible for a woman to go to as many places in the world as a man, or is it more difficult for women, maybe?
Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it would actually be very cool to see a woman do 190 countries. Because some societies, like in the Middle East, it would be difficult for a woman to just be traveling alone, you know? Even as a group, I think it would be suspicious. People would maybe question her a little bit more, or people would be suspicious about what she's doing, right?
Yeah. For example, Afghanistan, while Taliban dominated, female couldn't go out without permission of men.
Yeah, yeah. And he was in, I mean, he was like riding with US soldiers in like Iraq and stuff. Like he just like didn't care. He showed up at like Saddam Hussein's house, like his hometown. Hey guys, I'm a Canadian, you know. Also, I think the fact that he's Canadian really helped because an American could not go to all these countries.
Yes, yes.
Right? Salvador, do you think an American could go to all these countries?
Excuse me, come again.
Do you think an American could go to all of these countries like this Canadian guy did? Probably not.
Um, I don't know, maybe, Canadian and looking, seeing how he's look like, It
Uh-huh.
looks like American for me.
Oh yeah, it's true. There's no difference in look really, but just in terms of the passport, right?
Mm,
More people like Canada than people like America.
no, that's definitely. But I think that could be possible for American or for Canadian.
Hmm. You know what I think? Like, I was looking at reviews of the best passports in the world once, right? The best passport to travel is actually Denmark, right?
Really.
Yeah, so one of those like northern European countries like Norway, Sweden, or Denmark, right? They don't fight anybody. Everybody loves them. You know, no one is going to look at someone from Denmark. No one's going to look at a Danish person and say this guy is a spy, right? I mean, their countries are so, peaceful. You know, they are very happy. And Canada was also on the list of one of the best. I think it was number 6 or 7. Japan was like number 5, Heidi.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
We can
Japan is.
go anywhere without visa, maybe.
Yeah, Japanese people have it really lucky. South Korea was also very highly rated.
Mhm.
Germany was also very high, right? But the United States is actually much lower on that list. I think it's like number 17 or something.
How about your passport? Is your passport American or?
Yeah, yeah. I actually, yeah, I have 2. I have American and I also have Bangladesh.
Oh,
Yeah, so I have
very
both
good.
of them.
You can
Yeah.
use one of
I,
it.
I can go to anywhere. I mean, like, well, there are some countries that are that don't like Bangladesh and don't like America. So those countries I would not be able to go to. But
Mhm.
besides that, I'll be okay.
Where is Bangladesh on the list?
Oh, like 99, 100, I think. I mean, very low, unfortunately.
Maybe
Bangladesh,
Bangladesh is nearly to Honduras.
possibly, honestly, Bangladesh is like maybe 3 countries are visa free. I think it's like Nepal, Bhutan, and Kenya. A bunch of Ecuador is free for anybody.
Mhm.
Any nationality can go to Ecuador for free, right? I was very amazed. Even Bangladesh, right? And you have like Haiti, Dominican Republic, some of those smaller countries in the Caribbean. Um, but some of the other countries, like even like the South American countries, like Brazilians can go to a lot of countries visa free. They can go to anywhere in Europe, Russia, Mexico, like a lot of different countries. So it's very fascinating stuff. But yeah, if I can get like a I don't know, like a Danish passport, that'd be sick. You know, so I'd go to Denmark, like live in Denmark. I don't know, because literally they have no enemies. It's so fun to be in that, have that country's nationality. Um, so guys, let me actually ask you guys some direct questions, right? Uh, when we think about like a person's job and a person's life, right? If I told my parents right now, I'm 24, right? If I told my parents, yo, mom and dad, listen, I'm gonna go travel the world, right? I don't care what happens about my job or my whatever. I'll teach Colingo, right? And I'll just travel around the world, right? Do you think somebody who makes that kind of a decision in their life, right? This kind of a decision. So this decision, demonstrative, adjective, right? This decision, right? Someone who makes this decision in their lives, are they necessarily, like when we look at a person's experiences, right, or their life experiences, this guy probably does not have a lot of money in the bank, right? Has he wasted his life by not getting married or not getting a job that is, you know, gives him a lot of money, not having like, all of those stability things, right? The things that determine stability. Did he waste his life or did he actually gain something much more important than all of that stuff? What do you guys think?
He gained much more important.
And what is that important thing that he gained, Heidi?
Enjoy the life is most important.
Really?
We were born for enjoy our life, our lives.
So, is it better to be happy and not rich, or rich and unhappy?
Happy, but if he wanted to do, it's okay.
Uh-huh. So he made a good decision, you think, Heidi?
Mm-hmm.
He made a good decision, right?
Yes, yes, I think so.
Okay, that's awesome. Actually, I was thinking maybe you guys would say, no, this guy wasted his life. So Salvador, what do you think about that?
For me, well, all depends. Sometimes you are making things that you want to stop it, and maybe he wants stops to travel, but he can't because he's addicted to travel, and it's just part he's not enjoying. But if they're enjoying because he wants to do that, I think that is the great thing that one can do in their life, just enjoying the times, living and knowing people. That is a great experience.
Hmm. So would you say that he is wiser than people who maybe stay in one country or only do the tourism kind of things? Would you consider him to be wiser?
I don't know, but he knows a lot from different cultures. That is for sure. That is a fact. He knows better. For example, he can talk about costume from Asia, that or something that people do in Asia that I can't do it because I am living in the other part of the world. So I don't know if he is wiser, but definitely he knows better or he has better information.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's very valid, right? He definitely has that world class knowledge that you can only get by, walking around in Afghanistan with the Taliban chasing you, I mean,
But
yeah,
that's part of his trouble was very crazy.
yeah, I'm sure, right? Things like that would be crazy. And in English we have this phrase called backpacking, right? We use it as a verb, right? We backpack is a noun, right? Of course, it's the book bag or the backpack that you carry, but it's also used as a verb in English, increasingly now by young people. So when I was in overseas a few years ago, I was backpacking too. I had a small luggage, and I was just like walking around. Like I went to the Middle East, and I was just walking around. Um, Ended up in Turkey, right? Great experience, fantastic country, right? But backpacking has its own challenges, right? You are living out of a bag. Like you have your toothbrush, your toothpaste, your soap, your towel, your basic clothes, and normal things, and you are living day to day in a very frugal way,
Mm.
right? Now, this kind of travel is not suited for everybody. Would you guys be able to backpack through all these countries? Like, that's exactly what this guy did, right? He had a backpack and he had, like, I don't know, his passport. That's it, right? He didn't do anything. He didn't stay at five-star hotels. He probably didn't do anything fancy, right? Would you guys be able to do that? Or when you travel, do you need to be relaxed and comfortable when you travel?
Yeah, I can't do the backpacking.
You won't be able
Um,
to backpack.
yeah.
How come, Heidi? You just don't like the idea? It has a different excitement, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah. At least I want to have my own room.
oh.
Customer service and something like
There were
that.
times I slept on floors some days, some nights,
I
right?
want to take shower every day.
Oh, yeah. I took showers every day. Sometimes it was the rain. No, I'm
No,
just
no,
joking.
no
I'm
rain.
just joking. I'm just joking. No, no, no. I was in good places, but I was living frugally, right? I was living frugally. I wasn't spending crazy amount of money, every day trying to buy like the most expensive stuff. I ate a lot of street food, right? I think it's a great thing about a country. You eat the food that everybody else eats,
Yeah,
right?
street food is okay. Quite delicious.
Yeah. So you wouldn't mind eating street food, right, Heidi?
Ah, it's okay.
It's okay. Salvador, would you just go to like Poland and just start eating street food, like, or would you want to go to like restaurants and sit down and stuff?
Well, as I say, if you choose eat on the street in the street, that is okay. That is great. But if you have money just to pay your food in the restaurant, that is also a great experience. So
Yeah.
all depends what do you want, and if you have the money to do it, you can enjoy it. But if you don't have any choice to change the restaurant or how do what the word either the restaurant or the street food.
Yeah, fantastic. Either the restaurant or the street food, right? So one of two choices, one or the
Yeah,
other, right? Yeah,
that would be
fantastic.
great.
Yeah, right. I have done that before. I was when I was traveling, I saved my money. Like I heard that there was a really good restaurant. I waited until maybe a bunch of my friends and I had enough money, and then we went and ate maybe once every 3 weeks at a nice place, right? Once every 2 or 3 weeks. But besides that, I mean, we just ate whatever we found. Like, there was good street food. There was a lot of just, traditional food that we found in many places, right? Uh, I know some people that when they travel, these people, I don't know how they travel, but they always want to eat from the places that they are familiar with, right? And if you're outside the U.S., there's only two things that you can be familiar with: McDonald's and Burger King, right? So
Usually I have solo travel. So street food is much better than going to the restaurant. Going to the restaurant alone, it's lonely.
it is lonely, right? If I'm with a bunch of friends and it's like fun once in a while, like we're all poor, okay? We're all dirt poor, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
All of my friends and I, like, we have no money, right? We save all our money and we go to a restaurant one night. It's amazing. We kill that night, right? Have fun, enjoy all the food, right? Every other day, I'm just doing whatever. But then I knew some of these clowns. I call them clowns because they would spend their money and they would only eat at like the McDonald's. I'm like, you're outside the U.S. Why, or you're outside wherever? Why are you spending your money? And McDonald's isn't cheap in other countries. It's expensive in other countries. You know.
Yes.
So not only are they spending more money, but they're spending it on junk food. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
No, you are wasting your. If in that case, you are wasting your travel.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, there were times I ate stuff and I had a really bad stomach ache. Okay? Then I knew, okay, don't eat that, right? It was a lesson. I learned that lesson, right? These clowns were just eating the same crap every day, Burger King, McDonald's, and they would maybe try, like, frozen food. They would go to, like, maybe try the ice cream from the street, right? I was like, my God. They got zero experience.
There is a TV show for one guy who is traveling around the world and eating different kind of food
Uh-huh.
from each country, and that is great because he eats a lot of the food that the country has,
Mm-hmm.
and that is great.
What's the guy's name? Is he Andrew Zimmerman or Anthony
Yes,
Bourdain?
yes,
Oh,
Andrew Goodman.
Andrew Zimmerman, yeah. Bizarre foods. The guy just goes around and eats everything, man. Like,
Yeah.
he'll walk into, like, a store and it's like, what's this? I want this. Like,
Yes,
he doesn't even know what it is. He's still going to eat it, right?
he's just trying to eat all he can.
Such a good job, man. He's getting paid and to travel and eat, man.
But sometimes he have to eat something that is look horrible,
Yeah.
really.
He's definitely eaten some very crazy food before.
Yeah,
Yeah, like scorpions and stuff, like eating
like
eating spiders and bugs and
or snakes or something like that.
yeah, it's rough. Anyway, Salvador, man, it was a great conversation. Did you have any questions before we talk about before we leave in terms of the demonstratives, distributives? Look at the articles, so words like frugal that we looked at, right?
No, I don't have any question. Just give a thank you for the big class. I enjoyed the
Awesome.
class.
Awesome, Salvador. I appreciate it. One more starting right now, but it's late, I know, in Honduras. So let me know if you have any questions afterwards. But otherwise, have a great night.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Have a great
Awesome.
night.
You too. Take care, Salvador.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Words. So we're going to go over how to use demonstratives and distributives when it comes to normal conversation. And then in the second part of our class, we are actually going to be reading about a man who is probably the world's most traveled person. he has been to 190 countries. He's from Canada, and he's been to 190 countries, and I don't think he's stopping. I think there are still a few countries in the world that are left that he has not yet visited, so his plan is to be the first person to go to every single country. So it's going to be an exciting story, I think, to see what he's been able to do. So when we use demonstratives and distributives in English, right? There are these two categories. I want to make sure that we work on them a little bit more. Demonstratives, right? We use when we are talking about, they are pronouns that replace nouns, right? So when we use these words, there are four demonstratives in English, right? We say this, that, these, and then those, right? So these four words.
I have to work 4 days in a row, and then I have 4 days off.
Oh, okay. I see how that
So
is.
they are moving, and I usually work on Saturdays, on Sundays, but the next month, I have my weekends, and I'm free.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I like having the weekends free. The only thing about working on Saturday, Sunday is that other people are not working. So it's hard to find, like, it's hard to hang out with people, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Because everybody else is free. So, yeah, awesome, guys. Well, thanks for joining, guys. I wanted to introduce our topic now so that maybe we can get started on some of the questions earlier. So today we're actually going to be looking at demonstratives and distributives. So when we talk about these concepts in English, we are really using words that are, we use four words essentially. We use this, that, these, and those. Those are the demonstratives. And then for distributives, we talk about some other. Early, right?
Yes, it's 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, wow, that is very early. But yeah, you're welcome to, I mean, I guess you can take classes whenever. That's really nice that you wake up so early, you know. Usually 5 o'clock I'm sleeping.
Okay.
Nice.
There are two types of person
Uh-huh.
who wake up early and go to sleep early, and second type who wake up late and go to sleep late.
Yeah, I'm the second type.
I am first.
You're the first type, yeah. It's good, actually. I used to be the first type, but then I think things changed. Now I just sleep much later. Hey, Heidi, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice to see you as well. Things are great. How are things in Osaka?
Osaka. The weather is so, not so good.
Yeah, you know, I heard about that hurricane.
The typhoon, they had a big damage. At first, they said 3 or 4 people died, but finally 200 people died.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because
Wow.
it's hard to, I think it's hard to account for some of those, like,
Yes.
initially they don't know, maybe they're looking or people are lost, their bodies are missing, things like
Yes.
that. So, well, anyway. Hey, Salvador, how's it going?
Hi, hello, how are you?
Good. Welcome to class.
Thank you.
How was your day today? How's your Friday?
Was pretty good. Was my second day on work, on
Yeah.
shift, and that was great.
Uh-huh. Do you have any breaks tomorrow, or are you're going to be free on the weekend, right? There's no work on the weekend?
No, I have to work Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, wow.
I will be free until Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I will have 4 days off.
Nice. That's awesome. So that way you can work tomorrow and Saturday, or tomorrow and Sunday, but still have 4 days.
Yes, I
Or that typhoon that made landfall in the Philippines.
In Philippines. It's
yeah,
very, very strong.
they said it's the strongest, possibly the strongest typhoon to ever
Storm
strike land.
in the world in
Yeah,
this year.
yeah. It's super, super, super powerful storm, but not that many. I don't think there's been any deaths, thankfully. I think so. People were prepared, which is really good.
Yeah, this morning I exchanged a mail with the Filipinos. They said
Hmm.
it's very terrible. They are living in Manila, a little far from the typhoon, but still affected.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely.
Mm.
Hopefully they're all okay and the country makes a quick recovery.
So far,
Uh,
4 people died, and there was a landslide or flood.
yeah. So people did die. Okay, I did not know about that. I thought it was just injuries, but okay.
Yes,
That's sad, unfortunately. But 4 is I mean, a death is a death, but 4 is very low. You know, I think people were prepared, which is good because many times in India, other countries, a lot more people die. Hundreds of people die
Yeah,
sometimes.
but last year, another place in Philippines